internet. Hi.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Fantastic. You weren't just talking for like 10 minutes. So.
I know, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you're Jen?
I'm Jen. Nice to meet you all.
And you are an ISR instructor, and you teach CPR.
Yes.
And all kinds of other awesome things.
Lots of things.
Lots of things.
Lots of things.
Mostly just CPR.
Mostly CPR and ISR.
Yeah. And we've done a lot already with a bunch of different ISR instructors, which is super cool. And we're here, by the way. We are at Jen's place in Boca Raton. What's the address? 1000?
Northwest 1st Avenue, Specialized Swim and Wellness.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And they had a pool fence blocking the entry, which is really cool. I was excited about that. And you teach ISR here, right?
I do teach ISR here full time.
Nice, awesome. And it's cool. They got like a warehouse. We should do like a tour at the end, but it's a neat setup. They've taken like this warehouse, kind of like where we make pool fence, literally, and they stuck an awesome above ground pool in the middle, and they made it all pretty. You've got the little sitting area with the table and the chairs.
And the play area for the kids.
Right.
You know, keep them busy, siblings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you're doing the watermelon drive today?
We are doing our watermelons for water safety. Come by and see us.
Nice.
Our little stand out there.
So for anybody who doesn't know, what is the deal with that?
Watermelons for Water Safety is all the proceeds go to the Live Like Jake Foundation. If you're not familiar with the Live Like Jake Foundation, Carrie Morrison started it, I think 4 years ago, maybe 5, and after her son Jake lost his life. And she turned her pain into a passion and now provides swim lessons to anyone who can't afford it and helps moms and families after an event of a drowning to go through it with financial expenses and everything. I love them.
They're awesome. She helps us give away pool fences too.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
So we're hoping that the Lifesaver Pool Fence becomes the other prong with ISR lessons.
Yeah.
So if someone experiences a fatal or non-fatal drowning, they get lessons and a pool
fence.
Yeah, at the same time.
The team, it has to be that way.
Right, because layers of protection.
It's exactly, it needs to be that way. Layers of protection is so important, and because they do break down, and it happens 21 seconds. That's all it takes for a child to drown, and that's picking up your phone and checking your Facebook for just a scroll, picking up a phone call, or going to the bathroom.
Yeah. Or sneezing a few times.
Sneezing a few times.
Yeah,
exactly.
20 seconds is nothing.
Exactly. If they slip your supervision, it's that quickly that it happens. And there's no sound. It's not like what we see in the movies. Help me.
The Baywatch drowning.
Yeah, it doesn't happen like that. It's very silent, and the kids just don't move much. It's scary.
Yeah. I always tell people that if you have a story, and I've said this way too many times, and I'm sorry for people who've heard this 1,000 times, but if you have a story about your kid drawing a crayon mural on the wall, or cutting all of her hair off, or covering himself in peanut butter, that there was a lapse in supervision, and if you didn't have a pool fence or locks or alarms or ISR lessons, then you just got lucky they didn't go outside.
Absolutely. That's a really good point. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I found my boys hiding in a closet with a marker from head to toe, and I'm like, what's going on in here? Imagine. That's true.
Yeah, everybody has a hilarious story of their kids getting into something crazy.
Yeah, and it's a way to connect too, because when you think of it that way, it's...
Right.
I remember that happened to me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, so true.
Because everyone's like, I always watch my kids, I'm good.
Yeah.
Do you? You never found your kid covered in toilet paper and flour?
Absolutely. They've never gotten into anything that you don't remember. Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, and you just got lucky they chose peanut butter that day and not...
Slipping outside.
Yeah.
100%. Oh, wow, that's a good way to put it. I'm going to start using that.
There you go. See? Every day. And the layers of protection... I have to say this as often as possible. So that we coined the term layers of protection in 1987.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
My dad, who started Lifesaver, wrote a book called Summertime Fun, Year-Round Danger, using layers of protection to protect your pool.
That's cool.
And that's where the phrase came from.
Oh, wow. And we use it religiously.
Everyone does. It caught on, which is kind of cool. So
that is super cool. I like that.
Yeah, I get excited when I see it.
Yeah. I use it in everything. Even in my CPR classes, I'm always talking about the layers of protection and how they do break down. And although you get a lot of people that say, that won't happen to me, I'm around my child all the time, but it's really not realistic. We're not around our children at all times, and 21 seconds is fast.
It's fast. And you have the stats where most kids who drown weren't near the pool.
Right.
There was one study that said 77% were lasting 5 minutes before being found in the pool. Yeah. And then you have other studies that show that a lot were in their room sleeping.
Exactly.
So you can imagine a scenario, you go check on your kid.
Right.
You leave for 5 minutes, they're in their room sleeping. They should be good for
and they climb
hours.
out, yeah.
So, no parent could possibly prevent, it's impossible to prevent that.
We can't. We're not perfect. And it's okay not to be perfect.
And there's only one of you, or two,
Yeah, exactly.
1.5 probably.
1.5.
Yeah, if it's you and a dad, it's probably like 1.5.
Yeah, big kid.
Yeah, exactly.
I got my big kid too.
You got to watch him as well,
I do got to watch him. He's a little,
Make sure he doesn't cover himself in marker, peanut butter,
Join the kids in the closet.
Right, exactly.
Hey guys.
Why are you covered in marker too?
What's going on?
So, what is CPR?
CPR is cardiopulmonary resuscitation, and that's to jumpstart the heart. So when someone's heart is stopped, they're in cardiac arrest. They're no longer breathing, there's no heartbeat, and at that point, we need to get that heartbeat going. And what we can do as bystanders is immediately perform the CPR on them. Do you want me to demonstrate?
That would be cool if you could. Why not? Sure, go for it.
Okay. Alright, so I found this gentleman down on the floor, and I'm not sure what's going on. The first thing I am going to do is I'm going to ask him, hey, are you okay? Hey, are you okay? At this time, I look for any chest movement, any alertness in the face. If I don't see any, I'm going to check for that pulse quickly. I'm never going to spend more than 10 seconds checking for the pulse. I don't locate a pulse. I'm going to follow the natural nipple line to the center of the chest. Take the heel of my hand, place it right in the center. Take the other hand and lace. Now these fingers aren't resting down on the body because that may restrict blood flow. We need as much blood flow as we possibly can going through that body. I'm going to raise myself over, and I'm looking about 3 to 5 inches over the person. I'm not back here looking at the person, I'm looking over because I need to use as much strength in my arms as I possibly can to go 2.5 inches deep within their chest. And I'm going to do just a couple compressions so you can see, and I'm going to push. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Now what I would do is tilt his head back. Now when I'm giving breaths, I'm going to pinch the nose. I'm going to use these fingers on the top to hold the forehead back. These 2 fingers to pinch the nose, and these fingers are always going to be on the jawline closest to you. You don't want to reach across the person because you may block their airway. So fingers are closest to your body. You're going to go and get 2 nice breaths. And immediately begin your compressions again. Now say I feel like I didn't give effective breaths on that last round. I'm not going to go back for a 3rd breath. I'm just going to correct it the next time around. So I'm going to apply my 30 more compressions, do my 2 breaths, and I'm going to complete this cycle 5 times before checking for a pulse again. Now, if this was a drowning victim, it's a little bit differently. Say I found this person or child in the water lifeless. What I would do is immediately apply rescue breaths. Even while I was still in the shallow end of the water, holding the person in my hand, I would hold them, pull their head back. Now, if I can't get a good pinch on the nose while going in, I'm going to just cover their nose and their mouth with my mouth. So I'm going to make a nice seal here, and I'm going to blow into nose and mouth. I'm going to get 5 of those breaths. I'm out of the water now, I'm putting them down. And there's no counting in events of a drowning. Once you start the compressions, the body is going to start expelling water. So you can't go back and get breaths. You have to wait until the water is completely out before you start your 30 to 2 compressions. So I'm not counting. I'm just going to keep my compressions going until all water has stopped coming out of the mouth. Once the water has stopped coming out of the mouth, then I'm going to go to 30 compressions, 2 breaths, and do that effectively.
What about for a baby?
Infant is a little different when you're giving them compressions. You're going to put them on a hard, flat surface up on your level. So a coffee table, a countertop, anything that's a nice, hard, flat surface.
Why on your level as opposed to on the ground?
Because you're using a little bit too much strength when you put them down on the ground. Because when we're down on the ground, we naturally are stronger.
There's a lot of you. Yeah.
Yeah, but when we're up on the level, we're applying just enough to get through to that heart. We don't want to push down too hard on our little infants because they are so squishy and little. You know? So if I had a coffee table or a countertop right in front of me, I would place them right on the countertop. I'm just gonna sit down and use my arm though. on that hard flat surface. And it's the same again. You're going to go to the natural nipple line in the center. With your infant, you're going to use your 2 fingers and you're going to push 2 inches deep within their chest. So this isn't a typical infant. Think about 2 inches within that chest. You're pushing down that far within their chest in order to push that heart down so it can suck up the blood and push it back out.
Halfway almost.
Yeah, halfway through that little body, can you imagine? So I'm going to do 30 compressions, natural nipple line to the center of the chest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. When I give my compressions too, it's really important to allow the chest to completely recoil in between each compression. So I do a slight bounce off of the chest where it's just skin to skin contact. I'm not applying pressure the whole time because then again, we're restricting that blood flow. And we want as much blood flow going through that body as we possibly can give them. So when I'm going down on the compression 1, in between, I'm not pushing down at all. It's just skin to skin contact. When you're giving your infant your breath, so you're going to tilt the head back, and you're going to cover the nose and the mouth with your mouth. You're never going to pinch an infant's nose. Their nose is so close to their little lips that pinching and getting a good seal isn't very effective. So you want to make sure you cover the nose and the mouth with your mouth. Now, an important thing in this video is I'm giving her compressions on my legs, but each time I push down, she's bouncing off of my legs because she needs that hard surface. So I'm not actually getting as far as I need to go because she's on my thighs. So keep in mind that we need that nice hard flat surface.
Very cool. And the same number is 30 and then 5 and then 30?
Yeah, it's 30 compressions, 2 breaths. You do a cycle of 5 before you check for the pulse again. Infants are a little different though. So say I found my infant on the ground. For me, when I see an infant on the ground, their hearts are monitored in utero almost the whole time. Anytime they get an ultrasound, they're checked. The heartbeat is checked at every doctor's appointment. So if there's something wrong with an infant's heart, we typically know. So if I find an infant on the floor unconscious, the first thing that's going to come to my mind is this infant has a completely healthy heart as far as we know. So I'm going to assume choking because infants put everything in their mouth. So when I would give the breath, I would just check to see if the object was in there to pull it out. But I'm going to reenact the whole thing so we know. So baby, are you okay? At this time, I'm slapping on the bottom of the foot because the bottom of their foot is the most sensitive area. So baby, are you okay?
Is it really?
Yeah, right? Okay. It's cool, right? The head and the foot.
Head and the foot.
And then I'm going to look for breathing, any alertness. I don't see any breathing or alertness. I'm going to check for the pulse. The pulse is in the brachial pulse, which is right below their armpit. If you're not able to locate it within 10 seconds, begin your compressions. Natural nipple line to the center of the chest, 30 compressions, 2 inches deep within the infant. Tilt the head back, blow into the nose and the mouth with your mouth, 2 breaths, and back to your compressions. And you're going to complete that cycle 5 times before you check for your pulse again. We saved her.
She made it.
She made it.
And if they are choking, what's the best way to get something out?
Oh, choking is pretty easy to relieve, believe it or not. Yeah. I feel like in our minds we are a little scared if we were to choke that, oh no, the worst is going to happen. But if you know how to effectively give the Heimlich maneuver to an adult or a child in this infant posture I'm going to show you, the object will come right out. It's incredible. My husband made me laugh and I inhaled a chip and I was choking. This happened 3 weeks ago. I couldn't believe it really happened to me. And I go running through the house and I'm holding myself like this and he's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? I'm like, and he goes right behind me and gives me the Heimlich maneuver, and sure enough, it came out. With the first push he did within my chest, the object came out.
Wow.
And it's so insane because people in an event of choking, this is the universal sign for choking.
Right.
And we wouldn't think like we're going to grab our necks when we're choking.
Right.
First, I was in such a panic that I didn't even think about doing the universal sign. Yeah. But I'm like, and sure enough, I was choking, and he got it right out. Incredible.
That's really cool.
Incredible.
Did you hear Dr. Heimlich got to do it for the first time?
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was like in a nursing home. And the woman next to him was eating, and she started choking. And 90-something-year-old Dr. Heimlich got up and did it.
Really?
And it worked. And he was like, that's the first time I've actually ever done it. Like,
that's how me and my husband felt when we did it. We're like,
he's like, that was so cool.
Yeah, did this really just happen?
And the old lady was like, I got the Heimlich by Dr. Heimlich.
How cool is that?
Right.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
By the man himself.
Right, exactly. And he thought it was cool that he got to do it in his lifetime.
Yeah, right. I mean, I was scared, but I'm kind of cool. It was kind of cool that I felt it because I feel like I'm going to be able to better explain that in my classes.
Right, absolutely. So what would you do for the baby? What do you call her, by the way?
This is Annie.
Annie, are you okay?
Annie, are you okay? Yeah. Are you okay, Annie? Okay, so for your infant, when they're choking, it's a little different posture than the typical Heimlich maneuver, going behind them, fist in above the belly button. You're going to take your hand, and this part of this forearm part is going to be your hard surface. You're going to tilt the head back. Notice that I have the head back. It's not pushed down here because we need to open that airway in order to get that object out. Now, I don't rest my hands on the shoulder or push down on the neck area at all, but hands tilted back. I'm going to apply 5 upward back blows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to cradle the head, tilt the baby over to this arm, check for the object. If I can pinch the object and pull it out, I will do so. But I will never go fishing inside of a child's mouth to get any object out because you could possibly push it back further in. Right. You do not want to ever go fishing, do a blind finger sweep in an infant's mouth. I'm going to check for the object. If I can take my 2 fingers, pinch and pull it out, I will do so. But if not, I'm just going to leave it there and allow this to help. Then I'm going to do 5 abdominal thrusts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Check for the object. I don't see the object. And I'm going to repeat this cycle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until the object comes completely out. Now, I like to say all the time in my classes that when we're giving back blows, they're not back pats. We're not trying to burp.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're seriously smacking.
We are. Have you ever had the wind knocked out of you?
Yes.
All right, so we're initially knocking the wind out of them. What we're doing is we're hitting hard enough to get to that little bit of air that's left in the diaphragm that's going to forcefully push that object out. So we don't want to pat on their back or be gentle. We are being forceful when we're holding them this way. And a nice, good back blow. Yeah.
Like a UFC punch to the back.
Oh, kind of, yeah. There is, UFC is intense,
right,
but basically.
But yeah. So this is selfish. What if somebody's in a wheelchair?
Oh, and for the Heimlich maneuver?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a really good question. But you know what I would do is I would just go in front of you.
Yeah.
And I would push as hard as I possibly can because, some wheelchairs have this part where you can make the back stiff if you are choking. So you would have that there, and I would apply my abdominal thrust as hard from the front, as hard as I possibly can.
Rather than trying to reach around behind me or
because
lean me forward, that'd be tough.
You know what? In my choking experience the other day, or the week ago, you don't have that much time. I couldn't breathe and it hurt, and I want to save you before you get to that point of pain or passing out. Right. So I'm gonna just go in front of you because I don't want to waste that time. Yeah.
I've heard people talk about administering to themselves. Like if you were alone and you choke
on the chip. If you are alone, you can take the edge of a countertop and wedge it into your chest, and you're gonna do I'll demonstrate really quick. This is a short chair, so I should be able to do it. All right, so if I were choking it alone the other day with my husband, I would have, here's my belly button right here, and I'm gonna place right on my belly button, and I'm going to jab this chair repeatedly while I'm bending over into my chest, because again, we're pushing back on that diaphragm to get that object to expel.
Gotcha. So chair, countertop, probably best case scenario?
Chair, countertop. You don't want to use the side of your couch or anything soft.
Right, so it's squishy.
Yeah, we don't want anything squishy that you're going to bounce off of. We need something hard and forceful that's going to allow that object to push out.
Right, because I think the idea over and over again is you've got to be really forceful.
You have to be forceful.
Right.
It really is. The harder the better with the CPR and even the Heimlich maneuver. We are initially knocking the wind out of the person when they're choking to get that object to come out.
Is there an age that's too young for CPR?
No age is too young for CPR because your infant is anyone from 0 to 12 months.
Right.
And the only thing you would do is just use your 2 fingers then.
When do you transition from using 2 fingers to, we'll call it adult CPR or toddler CPR?
Okay, well they have toddler CPR, or child CPR would be anyone from 1 year old to puberty.
Okay.
But it is a personal preference. For me, when I had to give CPR, I used 2 hands, and that's totally okay. She was only 2.5, almost 3. I used 2 hands when I gave her CPR, and that's okay too, because for me, say it was a man. When a man was giving CPR to a child, they have the strength and the force to effectively give their 30 compressions with the 1 hand. For me, I would run out of energy and be tired, so I'm just going to always start with the 2 hands on a child. But a man would most likely always use the 1 hand, and it's the same. Fingers are pointed up in the air, only the heel of the hand is pushed down on the sternum, and you're going your 2.5 inches deep. I don't feel like I'm strong enough to go 2.5 inches deep, so I'm always going to use the 2 hands. But if you have the strength to do so, you should use just the 1 hand for a child, and that's anyone from 1 year old to puberty. So you'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. For me, I feel like I get about 1.5 inches. I can't go any further, but using the 2 hands is totally okay. There's no rules that you have to use, just the 1 hand, but it's really a preference.
What's something about CPR that people either have a misconception of or something you want to clear up?
Oh yeah, a lot of people think when they are going to perform CPR on a person and they get hurt, like break a rib, they're not protected, but you are protected under the Good Samaritan Act.
Okay.
So when you do find someone on the ground, do something. Don't stand around, don't be afraid, save them, because you could possibly save that person's life. React right away. You saw a video here too today, and that's the basics, so you know what to do, and they should try it. You know?
Have you heard of the CPR parties?
Yeah, I have heard of CPR parties.
My friend Laura Metro.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's on the board of the National Giant Prevention Alliance.
Oh, that's cool.
And she's super cool, and she started it because her son Clay, it was initially called the Clay Foundation. He drowned and he was rescued, and some bystander who didn't know CPR did CPR. Just he did what he'd seen on TV. He faked it, and he got medevaced to a hospital, and he's in a coma, and he ended up being okay. And they think the reason he was okay is because this guy did CPR.
Yeah, you know what is also really cool is the American Heart Association. They say that the quicker that CPR is started on a drowning victim, and if there's any breathing or alertness when the paramedics arrive to the scene, the likelihood that the person is going to walk away okay is very high.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so cool. Yeah.
So that's when she decided that, even if somebody doesn't get certified, having some CPR knowledge is better than nothing.
Yeah.
And so she does these CPR parties. They're like Tupperware parties, but learning CPR.
Yeah, that's cool. I love it. Yeah, because you can teach the hands only too. And
right.
hands only can save a drowning victim for sure.
Right.
And that's important. That's kind of like what Carrie and I do for the CPR day. We do 1 certification class and we do 2 hands-only ones. So the community gets to come in for free to those classes, and we teach them the hands-only CPR, and it's definitely can save a life.
So is there a delineation between certified CPR and using the breaths, and then hands-only for?
Hands-only, we just don't teach the breaths in. Because
less to know.
Yeah, because people who aren't certified too, and a lot of people are saying they're doing away with the breaths. But the theory on that is people are thinking the breaths are more important than the compressions. And the compressions are by far the number one thing. Getting that blood flow is so important. Our blood flow stores oxygen in it. So when we're pushing down on the compressions, the body's getting a little bit of oxygen too. But people get obsessed and focus on the breaths, and they don't go right back to their CPR. So it's better just to teach those people that are not taking the certification class just the hands only, so they're not fixated on giving them the breaths.
Gotcha. And if someone wants to become certified, where do they go? What do they do?
Oh, well, you can go to the American Heart Association's website and you can type in your zip code, and it'll tell you all of the classes that are available in your area.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Does anybody ask any questions?
No, but Natalie says, hey, Jenn is awesome.
Hey, Natalie!
And so you, and I think we saved it to the end, it's close enough to the end. You had to give CPR once, right?
I did. I did have to give CPR. 4 years ago, I was at a pool party with my husband and my children, and I was sitting on a sun shelf, a huge sun shelf. This pool had a beautiful sun shelf. And
what is a sun shelf?
A sun shelf is right before the steps. They have that shallow end of the pool.
Okay.
And it was a big area, so people probably felt confident in that area. Even me, I was there with my 14-month-old, and he was walking up and down the little sun shelf area playing. And then all of a sudden, I saw a mom scanning the pool. And me being a mom, I know that we have that look in our face when something's wrong.
Right.
And we scan the pool and we're looking, she's looking, and I'm like, what's she looking for? And I started looking, and that's where, about this far away from me, maybe a little bit further, maybe where the picture is, was her 2-year-old daughter in the water, lifeless, not moving. And I immediately reacted. Mom and I jumped in immediately. We both grabbed an arm, and I put her down on the floor. I wasn't confident in my CPR training. That's something that is really important to me that I teach in my classes. And for anyone that doesn't feel confident in their CPR, that you become confident in it. I put her down on the floor, hoping that someone in this huge group of people, Eric, there were 2 pool parties going on at this party with 2 pool parties with all the community residents there. So it was a packed pool. It was so many people.
You're thinking somebody's got to be a doctor, a nurse, or a paramedic.
Someone's got to be able. I'm just a preschool teacher, and I was not confident in my CPR training. So I put her down on the floor, and not one person began CPR. I mean, everyone swarmed her, and they were banging on her back, sticking their fingers down her throat. No one began CPR. And at that point, I remember one thing I was taught in my class, and that was something is better than nothing. And I knew where my hands were supposed to be placed, and I went to her and I moved everyone as much as I could, and I began the compressions. And it's crazy because we're all in a state of panic at that point, where everyone wants to help and react. And there were a couple people there that, while I was giving compressions, were still trying to pick her up and bang on her back. And I kept saying, no, it's okay, we gotta get the blood flow and give compressions. And they didn't stop. Someone had to move them from stopping, but they were reacting the way they thought, and it's good. As long as you're reacting, you're getting something done. So I am happy that they were reacting because they thought that was right. But for future, we want to make sure the CPR is given right away, and no lifting up, anything like that. So I went over there and I started giving the compressions, and immediately foam and fluid started expelling from her mouth, and we tilted her head. I didn't tilt her head to the side. There was a gentleman there who tilted her head to the side, and he held the head to the side so the vomit would would come out, and then when he would let go, her head would go right back to center. So that's why I said earlier that when we were giving CPR, don't worry about that head being to the side, because it's not going to stay there, and that's not what you need to worry about. You need to worry about those compressions. So I gave her the compressions. After 3 sets of compressions, I made another mistake that I don't want anyone to make. Her color had come back, and to me, she looked like she was alive. And we have the hospital so close by. I looked at Mom and I was like, let's go to the hospital. I don't see the paramedics. I picked her up in my arms. Mom was going to drive, and I was going to keep giving compressions in the car and elevating her. She died again in my arms. So I had to put her back down on the floor and give her 3 more sets of compressions. And by that time, she actually woke up and was looking for her mommy. And we knew she was awake then. And I look at Mom again, and I'm like, we need to get to the hospital. And we're running to my van again. And as we're running to the van, guess who's waiting for us at the pool?
Paramedics?
The paramedics. Do not move them. Someone from the pool ran to us where we were, and they said the paramedics is at the pool. Mom and I started running back to the pool, and the paramedics were running to where we were. So that could have, in those moments, she walked away completely unharmed, thank God. But in those moments, had it been something more serious, those moments would have been valuable.
Right.
And if I could go back in time, I would have never moved her. I would have waited there. And by time you're ready to pick them up and run to the hospital, the paramedics may be 2 minutes away. Just wait the 2 minutes.
Yeah, and then they can perform on her while they're in the, I mean.
Exactly. Their beds are made for compressions, and they can work on them the whole time, give them the oxygen that's needed. So doing that running around is something that I wish I could go back and change.
Is there anything you want people to know that I forgot to ask you or didn't talk about?
Yeah, I want people to not be afraid to react. Even watching short videos on YouTube, you don't have to be certified to save a life. You can get the knowledge, and if you're in an event like this, react. Don't be afraid. Freezing up isn't going to help us. It's in our minds too. We naturally freeze up. I froze up. I totally understand that can happen, but pull yourself out of it and react, because you could be possibly saving a family member.
Yeah, like you did.
Yeah, and I never thought. I was just a preschool teacher at a pool party with my kid, and never would have thought that would have ever happened. I'm just thankful that she made it and is completely healthy now.
How old is she now?
7.
Oh, wow.
3, 6.
Have you seen her since?
I have not seen her. I saw her during her swim lessons, because after she drowned, this is a good thing to know, after the drowning, 1 month later, she was in ISR swim lessons.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and she soared and did amazing. So I did get to watch one of her swim lessons, which is so cool to see that happened, because ISR is amazing.
Were you doing ISR at the time?
I wasn't. It's an amazing story, because all of the local ISR instructors, Christy, Liz, Erin, Sam, Natalie, Stacy. I don't think Stacy, because she's not local.
Okay.
But they reached out to me and they said, in honor of your heroic act, we want to provide you with swim lessons. And I was like, okay, all right, well, that's amazing. I would love to do this. And I signed them up with the swim lessons, and I couldn't go to the pool anymore after that happened.
Right.
I wasn't comfortable. The anxiety was terrible. So being around any body of water, even with my own kids, just wasn't reality. And ISR freed me of that, because seeing my boys be able to not only swim but save themselves if that were to ever happen just took that extra bit of paranoia away from me, because we're on the water all the time. My dad's a sailor, and we're always on the ocean, and I couldn't even go sailing anymore. So after our ISR lessons and watching my kids repeatedly be able to save themselves, it was good. Everything was back to normal. I was freed of that anxiety that came with that drowning.
That's cool. My dad sailed too, actually.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, and my grandfather was a shrimp boat captain.
Oh really?
Yeah,
I love sailing.
It's a long line of sailing.
It's amazing. We have a beautiful pier here, reef right in front of the pier, and the kids love going out there. It's so cute. You should see my little 5-year-old snorkeling out there. It's incredible.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's super cool. And he rolls over and floats, and he's good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Anytime a big wave will come and crash him, you'll see him under the wave trying to get into his float. It's really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's quite a swimmer.
That's fantastic. So how can people find you, sign up with you, give you money?
Oh, well, you can find me at Ready, Set, Save on my Facebook page, readysetsave.org, or Specialized Swim and Wellness. I'm always here.
Awesome. And if they can, like I said, there's a facility here for teaching swim lessons and ISR.
Yeah.
And obviously CPR as well.
Yes, I teach CPR right in this room.
Right, that's awesome. And the watermelon tape, you can come by today and get their, what are you selling? You're selling watermelon cupcakes and actual watermelons?
I made funfetti cupcakes.
That's amazing.
And actual watermelons. So they can come get cupcakes, lemonade, and watermelon.
And I'm guessing that the reason that's watermelon is because watermelons float?
They do float.
Yes.
Yes, watermelons. The thing watermelons and ISR students have in common is they both float.
Perfect.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Do watermelons roll over though?
Do they roll over?
I don't know, they could.
I mean, if they could if they were hit by a big enough wave.
Right, exactly.
You know?
And someone taught them.
Yeah, we could teach our little watermelons. Just roll over, baby.
That's it. All right, cool. Anything else? Are we good?
Yeah, that's good.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eric, for having me.
I really appreciate it. Bye, y'all. Thanks.
Bye. Nice meeting you all.